Good morning, everybody. This is today's edition of The Map. I'm Andy Bernstein, and your moderator, alongside my colleague, the one, the only Willie Drinkwater. Our friend Chris, our co-host extraordinaire, is actually on assignment this week. So me and Drinkwater holding down the fort. Willie?
Hello, good morning.
Who are you?
Who are you? That sounds
Not
like
existentially, but who are you?
No Jean-Paul Sartre today to start the day.
No, nothing that philosophical. A cigar is just a cigar today. Go ahead.
That's it. Willie Drinkwater. I've been in the field of mental health and addiction for about 32 years plus now. Also an educator for UMass Boston and the Addiction Counseling Education Program, senior faculty at Cambridge College, been a preceptor for Harvard Medical School. My main area is addiction with co-occurring disorders. And if you have an addiction, the odds are there's also another mental health issue going on that needs to be addressed. So that's me.
Okay. And you were part of the WBCN Big Mattress Crew?
Yep, the big mattress. If the creek down rise, if the good Lord's willing, if no one pushes the little red button, we'll do it all over again tomorrow between the hours of 6 and 10.
The Geeter with the heater. All right. So my story is this. I am from the world of media, and I've been working with numerous causes over the year. In fact, I created a radio show with NHL great Kevin Stevens, where Willie was my co-host, and we had open and honest discussions about addiction. And it was called Crosscheck, and it's a passion of mine to help fight the issue of mental health and addiction. And before we get into it, the topic of a strategy to bust stress for people struggling right now with depression, anxiety, mental health disorders, I want to be a little controversial today. But before we even go there, Willie and I were just talking about, in our previous show, we had our guest was Mike Lindell, My Pillow.
This is on Crosscheck, right?
On Crosscheck. And we got him on. Now, his story is, I don't know if people understand this, but Mike was actually a crack user who, for many, many, many years, and would sleep on the street. And he used so much crack and stayed up for like days that his drug dealer told him he wasn't going to give him any more drugs. Story accurate?
Yeah, it was interesting. He was saying that, when he would go out to get drugs and stuff, if the drug dealers saw him coming, they would run the other way because they didn't want to keep selling to him because they knew, it was just a matter of time before he did himself in, and stuff.
And the reason we bring him up is he was at the White House this week with like notes talking about martial law. Yeah. And I don't know now, Willie, you love his sheets.
Yes. The My Pillow sheets, they are fantastic.
The Giza Dream sheets made from he's like Jay Peterman on Seinfeld, off into the Egypt and at the pyramids looking for dream sheets.
Yeah, the sheets are made from virgin Gizas. So, it's really good stuff,
So what I did was, somebody who we know sent me a book, his biography on Mike Lindell, and it was funny because it had a hologram on it. The first part, I was all angry. The second part was smiling. I tossed the book. I don't like throwing books away. I'm like, get this out of my house right now. Get rid of it. Anyway, all right. So I thought that was kind of funny. I'm going to be a little controversial right now, and here's my take. And Willie, I want to get your take on this whole thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I am a marketer. It's something I've been doing: promotion, creating campaigns, media, etc. And I think we're going the wrong way about treating addiction right now during the COVID, and I'll tell you why. The way addiction, with 400,000 people dying for COVID right now, it's going to be very difficult to get addiction and overdoses on the radar screen. That's just my opinion.
If I can interject too,
sure.
And I've mentioned it on the show before here, because of the COVID coming and stuff, it's almost like the stigma has come back onto addiction again, because we don't have the time for addiction because of COVID. So there seems to be almost the re-stigmatization of addiction again. So
Yeah, because it's almost like that's nice, and I feel bad for you, but
hmm,
we have bigger fish to fry right now
hmm,
in a
hmm,
lot of ways. For people who aren't impacted by it, for the
hmm,
general public,
yeah,
right? If you're impacted by it, it means a lot to you, and you are impacted in your day to day life. But on a macro level, it's like, how do you get people to be on board with it if they're not impacted by it, right? This is my thought. This is my
hmm,
epiphany. So,
hmm,
what I think we should do is make this and it is a national security issue instead of a social issue. And the reason I say that, and you may not agree with me, Willie, but this is my take, okay? Um, both Mexico and China are bringing the drugs into the country. In
hmm,
fact, in November 2020, NPR ran a story called "We Are Shipping to the U.S." inside online synthetic drug networks.
hmm,
And for years, China has been a primary source of fentanyl trafficked into the U.S. It is a powerful prescription drug for severe pain that's made and sold illegally. It led to more than 37,000 overdoses in 2019 in the
hmm,
U.S. And it's worsened now during the coronavirus, according to federal health authorities. Um, in Mexico, a recent op ed piece on Bloomberg.com writes that President Biden's immediate foreign policy priority is to repair America's damaged relationships with international partners. The article says he can start by addressing the breakdown in security cooperation between the U.S. and its southern neighbor, Mexico. In addition to being one of America's largest trading partners, Mexico is the biggest foreign supplier of heroin, cocaine, and meth into the U.S. The piece goes on to say that fighting the scourge of drug trafficking and organized crime is critical to the U.S. relationship and the stability of the region as a whole.
hmm,
And it says allowing such cooperation to deteriorate is a mistake that neither country can afford.
hmm.
Okay, so um, so I think we need to really focus
Yeah, I mean,
for now.
can we tie trade into you have to take care of what's going on in your country. You have to prevent this from coming into our country, or it's going to affect trade between us.
Right.
Unless you can clean up your act, we're gonna have to make some trade arrangements that are different than what we have now. You
Yeah,
know.
I just think we need to. I think we need to, because what we're doing right now is not working.
Hmm, hmm,
If we still have these big numbers and it's rising. So changing it up, making it as
hmm,
part of the national security
hmm,
agenda is my opinion. So
hmm,
it may be controversial, but I think if we can change courses a little bit and repackage it,
hmm.
I think could make a huge difference.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I see your point. If you want to continue to trade with us, then take care of this issue in your own country. So it doesn't become our problem too.
Yeah, we had a long time ago we had Sandy Winfield on, Admiral Sandy Winfield on our radio show, and
Hmm,
Admiral Winfield talked about he lost his son to an overdose,
hmm,
and he said, "Look, I can fight in wars and win. We can win wars, but yet I can't keep my son from overdosing."
yeah.
And he said that he believes it's a national security issue.
Hmm,
We also had author Sam Quinones on, who talked about how um, it's a national security issue because gangs in Mexico are coming in and bringing in
hmm,
um, drugs
hmm,
to our communities. So
hmm,
I'm not saying we have to give up on the current approach,
hmm.
but maybe we try to tackle that. That's my
Yeah.
commentary for today. So I
Hmm.
hopefully with the new administration they change up things a little differently. So enough of that talk. Let's go positive now. Willie, you're
Hmm.
going to help us with some helpful tips.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's feeling stressed out at this point in time between the COVID and when am I going to be getting the vaccine? And I mean, it's a real stressful time. And over the years, I've done a stress busting workshop that has 28 points on it. And I go through this when I do this as an actual group and stuff, what I do is I suggest to people, when we go down the list, there's going to be maybe some of the things you're currently doing, maybe some of them you used to do, but you've fallen away from it. And then there's probably some that you never even thought about. So the suggestion I make to people is when I go through all 28 points, maybe pick out 2 or 3 to try to implement into your daily life, and stuff.
So can we go through these?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
So the first one here is start off your day with breakfast. I mean, if you were going on a long trip in your car, I don't think you'd start off with 1/20th of a tank of gas, right? You would fill it up, so
Pop-Tarts.
why do people start off the day, with a pot of coffee and maybe, a cruller, to fuel them for the main part of their day? I mean, there's an old saying, breakfast should be like a king or a queen, lunch should be like a prince or a princess, dinner should be like a pauper. The reason dinner should be your smallest meal of the day, because you've already done most of the caloric burn you're going to by the time you get to dinner time. But in New England and in many areas too, the biggest meal of the day tends to be what? Supper, dinner. That's where people, and it's not like you're going to get through dinner time and go do a 10-mile run. So, why are you packing in the calories at dinner time?
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But
Go ahead. You go.
no, I mean, my father-in-law eats 1 meal a day. He's 92.
Mm-hmm.
He has a big meal for lunch, or he eats dinner. That's it.
That's it.
For him. But would you advise eating 3 meals a day, snacks in between, healthy snacks?
Yeah, I mean, probably the healthiest way to eat, if you can do it, is the 5-meal ideal, where you have 5 smaller meals throughout the course of a day, which is really good in particular if you're someone that has mental health issues, because by having 5 smaller meals throughout the course of a day, you're keeping the glucose in your cabeza even throughout the day. You're not going through major, spikes and valleys and stuff. So,
and avoiding, and I guess avoiding sugar is probably the and carbs, and doing a more high protein diet.
You have to stay away from what I refer to as the alcoholic addict diet, which is nicotine, caffeine, flour, sugar, and sometimes Crisco. Those really aren't healthy. So,
Right. Okay. Number two,
occasionally change your routine by meeting a friend or a coworker for breakfast. Allow time to relax and enjoy it. I mean, we're in these COVID times now, but I mean, I know prior to COVID times and stuff, I mean, I knew guys that would hit like the Melrose YMCA 3 mornings a week before work, and even if they didn't work out, they would do the executive workout. They'd steam, they'd shower, they'd sauna there, they'd use their hot water as opposed to the hot water at home. And then they go across the street and they'd get a bite to eat before heading out to work. Also, people in recovery too, there's, early bird meetings, before you go to work. When I worked at Right Turn in Arlington, when I had my office there and stuff, there was a 6 a.m. and a 7 a.m. meeting in that town at a couple of the churches. So you could start your day off with the meeting and then head out to work. In these COVID times, what some people have been doing, and some of my clients, is like, I have a bunch of guys that are in the building trades, and they would meet up at somebody's house and, with their folding chair, and they'd go in the backyard and they would socially distance, and they'd have their morning coffee, and they would have a meeting. I mean, the weather's colder now. Some of them have moved inside a garage where they keep the garage door open, but they have a space heater on. And again, they space out around the garage, and they have a meeting before they go off to work. So.
And this is important because it takes away isolation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? I mean.
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
And then the next one, which us New Englanders.
Yeah.
Before I moved here, I had no idea how everybody is so wired. Talk to us about number 3.
Yeah. Next one, avoid drinking coffee all day. Drink fruit juice or water instead. As I'm lifting my coffee cup to say cheers to everybody, but I mean, the ideal thing is maybe, what time of the day are you going to cut your coffee consumption off? I mean, I know, when I was working the detox scene and stuff, I was always walking around with my coffee cup, and anytime I passed the pot, I would just top it off again, and then I was trying to figure out why I was staring at the ceiling at 3:00 in the morning, and stuff. So
that's me. And Duncan is on every corner in New England.
Yeah. No, we are. Just as a side note, do you know the number one country for the consumption of coffee though?
France.
Mm-mm.
U.S.
No, it goes Finland, Norway, Sweden.
Really? So we're not even in the top.
Yeah, no, the Scandinavians. But then again, you have to stop and think about 6 months light, 6 months dark.
Yeah, but they're
So
civilized, right? Like, so they don't. We were in Switzerland, and I noticed that people don't do takeaway coffee,
yeah,
right? You like civilized, sit there and drink. Even at a car dealer, they give you fine china. We went to a car, it was fine china,
yeah,
and I'm like, you mean I don't get a cup with like playing cards around it and the wild
yeah,
card, but on the
yeah.
bottom, right? I didn't get that. All right,
Here's an interesting note, though, too, Eddie. Sweden. What do you think the blood alcohol level is for drunk driving?
0.06.
Nah, 0.00. If you have any alcohol in your system in Sweden, they take you in for DUI.
Yeah, but you know what though? Here's what this was also what I learned when I was in Europe is that they roll up the sidewalks really early, right?
Yeah.
And it's like going out to eat is not an everyday occurrence.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a different social piece there too. When you go to someone's home in Sweden for like a party or something, it's just expected that you're sleeping over, and their subway and their mass transportation system is, I mean, it's super. So, so there really isn't a need to drive. But when you go to a party in Sweden, it's just assumed that you're spending the night.
Right.
If you're going to be drinking. So.
All right. What's number 4?
Number 4, find some time during the day to meditate or listen to a relaxation tape. And the thing with meditation doesn't mean you have to go to Cambridge Adult Continuing Education, learn to sit in a lotus position, have incense burning, repeating a mantra over and over again. I mean, a lot of times when I'm working with people in early recovery, they'll say, meditation is next to impossible because they can't sit still. In Zen, there's what's called kinhin, which is walking meditation. Find a path. Yeah, find a path. Like I buy Lake Quantapowhata in Wakefield, and everybody walks that lake the year round. It's 3.2 miles around the lake. You take a walk around the lake. You look out at the water. You let your head empty out as best you can. It'll even get to a point where your feet know where the potholes on the sidewalks are coming up because you've walked it so many times. So.
And then
walking meditation.
I've been told, find a visual thing that has been appealing to you or something you remember and focus on that.
Yeah, that could get me excited though, too.
Don't go there. But
well, you knew that was coming. Come on.
Mine's a beach in Florida, right? That is so nice. And then I have another one in Southern California that I do. And I really try to I don't do it enough. But the other day I did it because I just had a complete, the noise was like cymbals in my head, almost like in Me, Myself, and Irene. It was just like I needed to stop. So I went in my bedroom and I just stopped and just.
It's funny that you mentioned that movie because that movie caused a controversy with NAMI and a lot of other mental health groups.
I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, they didn't like the way, they didn't like the depiction of schizophrenia, the way that it was being done. And it was, quote, funny, and stuff.
That
caused a controversy.
No, I understand. I get it. But I still thought it was funny.
Well, yeah.
And just me.
Well, it's the PC police, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the Karen community. All right, number 5.
Number five, it's like the Beatles. Organize your work, set priorities. This is something with my clients. I ask them at some point early in the relationship and stuff, make up a list of what you think are the 10 most important things that you need to do and stuff. And they're writing the list, so they're subjective. When they give me the list, I can be objective about it. I might look down at their list and go, oh, I'm noticing here, if you did number 4 first, wouldn't that make the first 2 easier? And they go, oh, I didn't see that,
So do you find that people, I'm a huge procrastinator. I am.
I'll get back to you on that. Yeah.
I'll get back to you. I'll talk to you later about that. Not now, but later. I have a hard time there's two schools of thought, because some people say, you know what, let me get started doing something
Hmm.
and ease into the bigger stuff.
Yeah, a couple of pieces on this too. I mean, I remember we're working the partial at North Shore Medical Center, and we had a young guy, and he said his number one complaint, his number one issue was procrastination. So after the group, I went in the staff room, and we actually had a workbook on procrastination, right? So
Right.
I grabbed the book, I go out, I give him the book, and he goes, "Oh, Willie, thanks a lot, man. I should be able to get to this in a couple of weeks." And I said, "Give me the book back." And I made photocopies of a couple of exercises. And I said, "Bring these in tomorrow." Done. And
Yeah.
he was going to procrastinate on the procrastination workbook.
So you have to be, so in your role, I mean, really, kind of calling people out, like, because hey, I know your situation. I know where you are with your current status. So I'm going to make sure that when I look at your list, I'm calling you on the things that you should be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing that people do around here, especially in New England, is they schedule their day too tight. It's like, I'm going to do I'm going to work from 8 to 9, and then 9 to 10, and 10 to 11, and 11 to 12, and maybe I'll take a half an hour. So 12:30 to 1. The thing is, if you don't leave gaps throughout the day, there's always going to be interruptions and distractions that come up that you weren't expecting or counting on. So, if you have one interruption, it can now put you in a situation where you're playing catch up the rest of the day. People schedule too tight.
And that affects self-esteem, because you're like, I didn't accomplish what I
wanted to
do, which goes to number 6.
Number 6. Boy, you're good at this, Andy. Don't try to be do not try to be perfect. Do not feel you have to do everything. It's one thing to strive for perfection. It's another to go out of your mind because you can't achieve it. I mean, when I worked in the past with Olympic throwers, shot put, discus, hammer, javelin throwers and stuff.
When was that and where?
That was back in the 80s when I was a strength trainer and stuff, and a personal trainer.
One. I haven't heard that one. Without
you didn't know that about me, huh?
Without order.
Yeah. What was that? Al Order is my hero, man. He had, 4
That's
Olympic.
A new one. That's a new one. I've never heard that.
4 Olympic Games where he was never the favorite to win, and he wasn't in the lead going into the final round.
Huh. Okay. So I'm sorry to.
No, but yeah. So where was I on the? Oh yeah. So
not
I was
being perfect.
Yeah. I mean, like athletes, you're not competing against anybody else. You're competing against, can I do better than I did the last time? Can I create a new personal best? Like, for instance, even with sprinters, if they turn to see where the other runners are, they just lost the race, because just the act of turning is going to throw their stride off.
Run your race. Don't compare yourself to other people.
Yeah, exactly.
Just put blinders on.
Yeah. Yeah, again, it's one thing to strive for perfection. It's another to go out of your mind because you can't obtain it. And people that have OCD, a lot of times, this is difficult because they want everything to be exact and precise, and it can really be debilitating.
I struggle with it, and it's like, and I always am so hard on myself because I want to be perfect, right? I know that's impossible.
Right, because we're human.
Is good.
Because we're human. Because we're human. There's no such thing as, 100%.
Is that an ego thing?
It can be for some people, sure.
Where you're like, you know what? Who are you to think that you're going to be perfect? Like, I see Tom Brady right on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at Tom Brady and everything he's accomplished professionally, you could think, wow, this guy's lived a charmed life. He is really perfect. But I pick up there are things that he does that makes me realize that he's flawed.
Well, I mean, he is the GOAT. I mean, there isn't a doubt about that. One of the things that I say to people, though, is that, the TB12 method, the TB12 method to me is having probably 17 out of 20 years with the Patriots, having the best offensive line in football. That's the TB12 method.
That's right. Keeping him upright. And also having a medical staff that, like my doctor, my surgeon who did my shoulder surgery, until I went to him, I had constant struggles. Yeah. I went to Brady's doctor, right? Dr. Thomas Gill, shout out, the best around, and fixed my shoulder. but he was Brady's doctor for 16 years. So he's got the best surgeon. He's got the best everything that money can buy. So
I go to Dr. Vinny Vumbatz, which was Rodney Dangerfield's
hey, Dr. Vinny Bob. All right. So don't do that. Don't try to be perfect. Nobody's perfect. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do not try to.
Just as a side note, though, you know, I was watching the Buccaneers the other night and stuff, and it was like Brady had his helmet off, and I was going,
he dyes his hair.
Has he had a little plastic work done around the eyes?
Yeah,
man?
he's dyeing
Something
his hair
looked
too.
different.
His hair's dyed. You can tell because it goes from light brown to the fresh dye job. Now we have no hair, Willie. So for us, I mean, I'm admirable. I admire anybody with a head of hair.
Well, grass doesn't grow in a busy street, you know?
There you go. All right. What's next?
Okay. Next
7.
one, number 7. Don't try to do 2 or 3 or more things at one time. Multitasking. I mean, technically, you can't do 2 or 3 things at the same time, but you can rapidly shift between 2 or 3 things. Research out of Harvard, if you multitask for a period of a year or more, you drop 10 points off your IQ. It dummies you down.
Why?
It dummies you down.
John Tesh? You're like John Tesh.
Yeah.
Why?
No, it dummies you down because you throw your concentration off. You know, I mean, I wish I could be more like my wife Yvette, where it's, you know, task done next, task done next. You know, I tend to still multitask, have 2 or 3 things going on at once.
You change channels. You change.
Yeah.
Some might call that project management.
Yeah. Well, you know, companies love you if you can multitask, and then when you burn out, they fire you and they hire someone else that can multitask.
Exactly. That's the story of my life, or I leave because I get totally burnt out because I've taken on so much in such a quick period of time that I gradually don't move forward. You know, like I gradually, you know, just crap out because I've taken on too much. So don't do that. All right. Number 8.
Number eight. Reduce the noise level in your environment if possible.
How do you do that?
Yeah, I guess you have to tell the children they have to move out, you know, and stuff. But,
Right.
No, I mean, the noise level. I mean, are you in a noisy environment? I mean, I go to Nova Scotia, as you know, Andy, and stuff too. And it's like the first two nights when I'm going to sleep, all I can hear is ringing in my ears, you know?
Right.
And then like the third night, I'm turning to my wife going, is that a dog barking tonight? And she goes, yeah, the dog's been barking for the other 2 nights we've been here too. I said, oh, I'm just hearing him now and stuff. So you usually know if you're exposed to noise, if you're in a quiet area and all you can hear is ringing in your ears, which really isn't healthy.
No,
Tinnitus.
it's not. Some breaking news while we're doing the show. Hank Aaron died. He just died at 86. Quick aside, I did an exercise at the end of the year. You know, if you believe in God, God is starting an all-star team with the people that have died.
I do believe in her.
Yeah. God has started. It is unbelievable how many Hall of Famers have died in the last year. And I don't know if it's COVID. I don't know. But Hank Aaron just died at 86. So he was my favorite player as a kid. So I have to. I never even saw him play, but I loved him anyway. All right.
You know who my favorite player was? Ron Swoboda.
He's got a book coming out from the Mets.
The Amazing Mets. I was there in '69 when the Mets won. I was 13 and stuff. And, you know, here you have Ron Swoboda comes out of nowhere. He's batting 400 for the series. You know, just amazing.
Yeah, they beat my Orioles.
Yeah, that's right. Who were favored to win? Who were favored?
Yeah, the Amazons.
Yeah, the Mets win and we land on the moon.
Yeah, in fact, they had a Mr. Met giveaway, a bobblehead, in the Neil Armstrong uniform.
Well, to show you what New Yorkers are like, right after the game outside, people were selling like 1-inch squares of Shea Stadium sod for $1 a bag.
There you go.
Only in New York.
Only in New York. Okay, number 9.
Number 9. Procrastination can be stressful. Don't put off things till the last minute. I think we already spoke about that one.
Yeah, right. We're going to move past that one.
Although some people do that, and you know, some people believe they do their best work when they're under the gun. You know,
and then you get me.
then you get people a lot of times. I found over the years working with people with bipolar disorder, they do it because they get an adrenaline rush off it. It takes a half an hour to get to the dentist. There's only 10 minutes left. I can do this, and God help anyone that gets in my way, because don't they know I have to be at the dentist?
You know what, though? I'll tell you, as I've gotten older, I start to get annoyed by people who kind of wing it because it shows a lack of preparation to me. And I get frustrated because
it's a lack of respect too. A lot of times,
it pisses me off. It's like, I really do try to always prepare so that I know what I'm going into and know what I'm talking about. Okay, 10. I'm loving this. I love this. This is great.
Well, I think it's a good change. It's just, we're in these stressful times. So, this is good stuff to go over. To develop a coworker support network. I know as a therapist, I belong to, on the North Shore, we have the private practice colloquium. And, there's a couple hundred of us who are therapists, and we get together online. We have emails every day going back and forth. So that's a form of support. Joining a group, support group where you're identifying with other members as to whatever the issue is major. In these times, as far as the recovery movement goes and stuff, so much of it is virtual, now. And I have an older brother who's in AA, and he's been going to these virtual meetings all over the country and stuff. He gets up on Sunday mornings. He chairs a meeting at 9 a.m., but the meeting he's chairing is in Melbourne, Australia, where it's 9 p.m.
That's awesome, though.
He's gone to meetings in Munich where he speaks German and stuff. So he's gone to meetings there. He's gone to meetings in California. He's 70 and retired, and he's thinking when this COVID breaks now, he's got places all over the world that he can travel and connect with these people that he met virtually, and it'll be fun.
Isn't that amazing? So you're really making that work for you.
Yeah.
My other show I do, we've had all kinds of famous athletes from their homes, logging in through Zoom.
Yeah,
we've got to talk to amazing guys that we would have never gotten if we said, "Oh, come meet us," or we would have to go to you. They were like, "What's the big deal about being on Zoom for an hour talking to knucklehead?"
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah. I was in a meeting with the Proud Boys the other night. We had a great time.
No, kidding.
Kidding. No, that's not me.
Right.
Anyway,
were you the guy wearing the Davy Crockett hat and the horns?
Yeah.
That guy was beautiful. Apparently, he's a vegan and was very upset that he couldn't get his vegan food in prison, in jail.
Oh, well, yeah.
Good for him. All right, 11.
Well, if he's a vegan, why is he wearing animal products?
Why is he bum rushing the Capitol? How about that?
I know. Next one here, number 11, don't take your job home or on your lunch breaks. If you want to burn out, then take your job home. My wife and I always had a policy where, when we came in from work, back when we used to go to work and stuff, when we would come in from work, we would talk about work for 10 minutes. If it went beyond 10 minutes time, it was time to call your therapist.
That's a good idea. Because we get into it all the time because my wife's a workaholic and she is like dialed in. She's busier now than she was working at her job because there's no break.
Right.
And a lot of people aren't good at saying.
Yeah, that's something that I've had to catch myself on too. Is seeing more clients a week since I've been home. It's like, oh, I'm home, so well, what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is I'm not making time for me and for my dog Charlie. It's like, wait a minute, what am I actually? I'm working next week, and then I'm taking the first week in February off to do absolutely nothing.
Good.
It's good. Yeah, it's
going
at that point
good?
Again. Probably to my backyard.
There you go, a staycation. All right, this next one, we're gonna go rapid fire. This is an important one.
Optimize your health with good nutrition, sleep, and rest.
Easier said than done.
Yeah, everybody talks about the COVID-20. The 20 pounds.
Yeah, high.
That people gain, and stuff. So
well, because it's like if you're in lockdown, right, and you're like isolated, you can't go anywhere. You can only do so much exercise. What else is there? What else do you do? So what that really comes up. So in my opinion, What that really turns into is you really start to evaluate if you have the luxury of being at home and not working, having to go to a job, on location or wherever. You really start to question existentially, like, who am I? What do I like to do?
No,
Where do I want to go?
This has been a real big issue with quite a few of my clients where, now this whole situation now, people have gotten more into self-reflection. Where am I at this point in my life? Is this what I really want to be doing? Where do I want my life to go after COVID? So, I mean, even in the therapy field, I mean, a lot of my colleagues now, we're talking amongst ourselves saying that when this breaks, we're going to go back to our offices, but probably just to do morning sessions, and if you want anything in the afternoon or the evening, it's going to have to be teletherapy because I want to be home. I don't want to be leaving Beverly at 8:00, 3 or 4 nights a week if I don't have to.
No, and that you can you're like, am I meant to sit in a car for 2 hours going to work, hour and a half going in, hour and a half going back in the traffic? It's like, after I've been in lockdown for a year and plus.
Yeah. I mean, even companies are reevaluating now. How much space do we really need? Like, can we do so to speak, a hybrid with work where people are working from home 2 or 3 days a week and they're in the office for 2 or 3 days. You know what I mean?
I was in Manhattan not that long ago, and you ride around the city.
Yeah.
Commercial real estate space all over the city.
Yeah. Who
can pay the rent? How do you pay the rent?
I know my wife, right before COVID hit, she was talking with Brigham and Women's about, she was about to start doing, 3 days a week from home, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and only going into the office Tuesdays and Thursdays. And her manager said, well, will it bother you that you have to share an office space on the 2 days that you're in the office? And she was like, no, absolutely not.
Right, she wanted somebody else besides you to connect with. No, I'm not taking a shot. That was a shot.
No, meditation. Another way to meditate, to really relax yourself. And I don't. You may do this, Andy, too. But once in a while, my golden retriever Charlie and stuff. He'll come over. He'll sit in front of me, and I just cup his face in my hands, and I go eye to eye with him.
Absolutely, I put.
And it's the most. Yeah.
Right on her crown of her head, and we look at each other.
Yeah.
Great. It's great.
And every time you pet an animal, you get a release of oxytocin, which is a feel good hormone.
They're amazing. They're amazing.
Yeah, they are.
14.
Get regular exercise.
Yeah. 13 step is what they say.
What?
I've heard the exercise is the 13th step.
Oh, when you say 13th step, from
the AA world.
Well, in the AA world, when you say 13th step, that means you're trying to pick up someone that's new to the program.
Oh, well, so that's not what we're talking about.
No, that's not what you want to say.
They say a sickie and a sickie don't make a wellie is what I
That's right. Yeah. That's right. But this get regular exercise, one of the little tricks that I've come up with, because I'm not going to the Y, I haven't been to the Y forever. But what I do now is I do, if I have like 7 or 8 clients scheduled for the day, after each client, I do 10 push-ups.
That's cool. It's something. It's something.
10 push-ups. I take my dog for a walk every day, 3 to 4 miles minimum.
That's
so, and then I try to, if I'm watching a TV show on regular TV where there's commercial comes on, you can drop on the floor and do crunches for 2 minutes or 4 minutes, depending on the length of the commercials.
That's good.
Yeah,
no, I like that.
So there is a way to get the exercise in these COVID times.
That's important, and you can do it at home. And there's apps and there's all kinds of stuff. My sister has a Peloton app. You don't have to buy the Peloton, but you can buy the app. And if you have a bike at home, you can use the bike, and it has the same things that Peloton has. It's just without the $2,000 bike. Okay. This one.
Number 15 is tough in these times, with coworkers plan parties, birthday celebrations, and other events that break the work routine. One of the things I've been doing now is to take a break. I'm Zooming with old friends and stuff just to keep in touch, just to break the routine.
You and I have Zoomed. It's great.
Yeah.
That's great. All right, 17. We're going to go through these quicker because.
16 first.
unavoidable stress as an avenue for growth and change. Again, easier said than done.
Yeah, well, stress can be beneficial if it motivates you for change, and that's something I often work with clients. If you're feeling stressed, well, then why don't we come up with a plan of action?
Reframing the thing that happened. So it's like,
Yeah.
I'm running into this awkward situation where I've committed to it. I've overcommitted. I don't really want to do it, but I'm not good at saying no. So how do I, and it's causing me great stress. So I'm going to look at kind of being assertive and saying, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And be okay with it, so using that as a way to change your behavior. Is that kind of what we're?
Yeah. Behavior modification, CBT time.
There you go. All right.
Now the next two, they can go together. Avoid people that are stress carriers, avoid people that are negaholics. Oftentimes, unfortunately, we call them friends and family.
Yeah, right.
And it's like, yeah, I mean, if you're trying to stay positive, it's hard to stay positive if you're around negative people.
Yeah, but how do you do that if these are the people and this is you can't avoid them all together,
that's where
maybe.
That's where you can say when they're starting in on the negativity, you can say, I'm really concerned. And that they say, what are you concerned about? It's like, you don't seem to be in a healthy place. Is there anything I can do to help you?
Yeah. Or like, hey, you know what? You're too negative for me, man. I got to go.
Or you limit the time that you interact with them. Yeah.
Right. And,
it's like Debbie Downer, oh, nothing's right. Everything sucks. It's never going to change. I hate this. It's too cold. It's too hot. Yeah.
All right. Let's talk this. This is actually kind of dated in a way.
Don't watch the 11 p.m. Don't watch the news throughout the whole day. It should say now,
all day.
I'm talking to you now, and in the background, I have CNN on,
of course, because that's not news, but that's not news. That's commentary.
Yeah.
In most cases, that's commentary.
Yeah, that's a good way to rationalize it. Yeah.
It's sports talk radio. It's sports talk radio.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah. And the sport is politics. That's all. Yeah.
That's it. All right. Give yourself, 20.
Number 20, give yourself praise and or positive strokes. I'm not going to take that one too far. Just give yourself credit for the things that you're doing that are healthy.
And they can be small, right? So they don't have, right? Like you wouldn't go, because I think that's where you could get in trouble because you start creating delusions of grandeur. But if you maybe focusing on like, hey, I got up, I had a good breakfast, I went for a walk, I did my work, I was upfront and honest with people. Those are those things that you can like.
Yeah, give yourself credit for the healthy things you're doing. I'm a good, decent person. I'm having a good day. Positive affirmations, basically, self-affirmations throughout the day.
So this is one of the reasons I actually do the show. Is number 21, which is
develop interests outside your job through family, friends, and volunteer activities. I mean, if you don't give of yourself freely once in a while, you usually don't get to keep the stability that you have. If you become ego-driven, then it's everyone else is on the outside.
It doesn't. It's like your world and it's my world and you're just living in it. And you can't, I found that.
We've gone through 4 years of that.
Exactly.
It's all about me. And when I get through talking about me, you can talk about me.
Bad things happen when that's the case because you don't get.
Unhealthy things happen.
Yeah. Because people don't, you're not, you're a me person and you're not looking at things holistically or considering other people.
Altruism, that's right. You should do something that's altruistic, where you're doing something, not for personal gain, but just because you believe it's the right thing to do. I mean, when we had a snowstorm a little while ago, I have a neighbor who's whose cancers come back. And when I was snow blowing, I just went right down to their house and I cleared out the front of their driveway and stuff, just in case they had to get to the hospital or whatever. It's just doing something.
Right. Yeah. It gets you out of your own shit for a few. Sorry. Woo, woo, woo. Like in dating game or not dating, newlywed game. All right. 24 and 25 are very, 23 we kind of covered about being assertive.
Yeah. Okay.
But 24 and 25 are really something that I've learned Big fan of
Well, why
Brene.
don't I just read them though, quick, so the audience knows what we're
Yeah,
talking
please.
about.
I wish you would.
Seek out emotional resources available to you that are close at hand, coworker, spouse, friends, and family. And then right after that one, 25 is don't be afraid to ask questions or ask for help. I'll start with that one first. It's a sign of strength to ask for help. It doesn't mean you're stupid. Far from it. It just means you don't have the information you need to move forward. So it's an intelligent person that asks a question.
There's no such thing as a dumb question.
Correct.
I mean,
correct.
It's like vulnerability, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if Brene Brown talks about this. She's great, and she talks about vulnerability, where you let people see who you are, right? You don't have to be, just being open. Like, I don't know the answer to this. Could you help me? Or I'm struggling right now with this and that. Like, being open, not being so guarded, kind of allows you to create stronger relationships.
Well, I mean, that's one of the big things that Biden's talking about. If we don't know the answer, we're going to tell you we don't know the answer.
It's important. It's funny. I always talk about, like, it's kind of can be applied to this, that, you talk about, there's golfers, right? And, you talk about golfers and you say, they get on the golf course with somebody and they're dressed, they look the part, they get on the golf course and they stink, right? They absolutely stink. But they make you think that they're really good. What I found, like, if I play golf, the rare times I say, I'm not good, right? Like, I want you to know ahead of time, I'm not good. I'm here to have fun. Right. And it's just like people treat you differently when you're like, all right, well, that guy's real. He's a straight shooter. He's not being dishonest. Maybe that other person can give you instruction because you've allowed yourself to be open. Hey, would you mind if I gave you a little instruction? I see your swing, if you're interested, type of thing. So
right. Yeah. I love golfers. I was a tennis guy, right? And I used to catch major flack in high school in the 70s. It's like, oh, you're going to go play tennis? What cute little white shorts and this and that. And all my friends that were golfers would be making fun of me. And it'd be like, yeah, you know what, guys? And they go, what? It's like, when you're out on the links with each other playing golf, I'm playing tennis with your girlfriends and with your mothers. So who's really the idiot here?
There's a lot of hate there. All right, let's close.
Moving
it out. 27 and 28. What's 27?
Yep. Well, 26, first, allow extra time to get to appointments. Again, if you're an adrenaline junkie, you're not going to do that. 27, take deep breaths when you feel stressed. One of the things I always talk about to people is, I'll ask them if when they get uptight, if they start pacing. And they go, yeah, I pace all that. And I'll say, when you're pacing, does your body make you stop once in a while and take a big, deep breath and then you start pacing again? And they go, yeah. And it's like, what if you did that slow, deep, controlled breathing first? Maybe you wouldn't have needed to pace, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you have that nervous energy. Okay, 28.
28, the last one. Can we have a drum roll? Try to find something funny in difficult situations. I'm a big believer, as you know, Andy, in humor in general, in the therapeutic relationship, and in life. I think, it's an absolute necessity to have a sense of humor.
Because stuff is funny.
Yeah, and every time you laugh, you release endorphins, which are feel-good hormones again.
So I laugh.
I could do a whole show on the benefits of humor because I researched it for my master's and stuff.
I know, right? We should talk about that. I mean, it was funny. Trump leaves, and made me laugh. And he says, "Okay, everybody," he finished what he said, and he goes, "Okay, well, so have a good life."
Yeah.
And we'll talk to you soon. I just got the biggest kick out of that. I don't know why, but I try to find humor in everything because life's hard.
Yeah.
And you got to laugh at yourself too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's our show for the week. Hope everybody enjoyed hearing these tips from.
What are you wrapping up 10 minutes early? Jesus.
Well, give me some closing thoughts then. Give me some closing thoughts.
Yeah, well, one of the main things I think everybody in the COVID time is find a good comedy series on Netflix or something and start to follow. I just got through with the third season of Disenchanted. I don't know if people are into animation here or not.
What's that about?
Disenchanted? Oh, it's a Matt Groening, animation. The creator of Futurama and stuff. So yeah, it's following this princess and her dysfunctional kingdom, and and her dysfunctional father, and it's just a riot. It's just a good comedy animation.
And you binge watch that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right. So there's TV. Oh, we didn't even talk about taking up hobbies.
Yeah, right. Hobbies and interests.
Right. But that's something you could do regardless of whether it's COVID or not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm finding now that some people with the COVID, their hobbies that they've been doing for years, all of a sudden they're looking at these hobbies now as like, maybe this would be an area that I could go into for work. Maybe this is something, especially if they're into carpentry or finish work or that type of stuff. They're thinking, I really enjoy doing this. Maybe I should take this to the next level.
So if you could sum it all up, I mean, basically what we're saying with all these tips and information is try to use this time as a positive.
Yeah, for self-exploration and self-reflection.
Right.
And, see where you want to go, for the next chapter of your life.
Right. Because it's like an ongoing snow day.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a good way to put it. Yeah.
I mean, it is. It's like, I love snow days. Love it. Cause I don't feel any pressure to go anywhere and do anything. It's like, I'm home.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think people have discovered the outdoors again, even though it's cold now. I mean, people are really spending a lot more time outside. They're looking around their house. They're fixing their houses up and stuff. I mean,
you can't run from this, right?
No.
You can't run. My father-in-law is 92. He just retired from a ski and bike shop that he owned for forever. He sold more bikes than he ever sold in his life.
Yeah.
He had lines out the door for people trying to do bike repairs. He's like, you know what? It's not profitable to fix bikes, right? Like, do flats. But he crushed it. He got rid of everything. He got rid of all his inventory because people wanted bikes. They needed something to do. So
I told my wife years ago that I'm going to start drinking again as soon as I retire, right? And so the big question is, when am I going to retire? And the answer is, I don't plan to ever retire. I think that's how people die. I could always be teaching a few courses or seeing a few clients. So why would I ever fully retire? I mean, look at Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks is in his 90s and he's still going, man.
You find acts, right? Like chapters in your life, like at 50.
I mean, I won't work 60 or 70 hours a week. I might cut down to 40. Who knows?
No, but you might find something like, hey, you know what? I really want to write books. Yeah. Right. Or I want to become an author because.
Well, I'm finishing up the first one now.
What's that?
I said, I'm finishing up my first book now. It's a collection of vignettes. It's different stories from working in the inpatient and the detoxes. Yeah. You see, there's a lot you're finding out about me today too. I was a strength trainer, the whole thing.
This is wonderful. This is a getting to know you. All right. Now.
Well, you got to have hope, Andy. You
got to have hope. All right, it's 11:54, and can we wrap now?
I think we can. Yes.
Okay, great. All right. Thanks to our friend, Mike Weber at Foxboro Cable Access.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael, and his wonderful team over there who keeps us going week after week. And please check us out and like us on Facebook at the MAP 2020. We definitely want you to like us, provide us with topics that you think you'd like to hear from us, any guest ideas, all on the table. So
Andy, I almost forgot. I'm supposed to tell you hello from Juliana.
From across the pond.
Across the pond. Yes.
She's lovely. Please send my best to her.
I will.
Cheerio. And let's key up the music, Mike. And that's our show for the week. Right on point.
Take care. I'll be talking to you, Andy.
All right. See you, everybody.
Bye-bye.